Hello to whoever is watching this right now. My name is Srijani Bhadri, and today with us we have Mr. Rabi Shankar Chakraborty, who is a dynamic and versatile leader who is occupying a very influential post in Apple and works at Cupertino, California. Yes, he works in that dreamlike Apple office, which most of me and my peers aspire to be in one day. It's a pleasure to be interacting with you here today, sir.
That's great. Nice to be a part of your journey.
Thank you so much. So, to start off, could you please describe your journey and what are the key experiences that led you to your influential roles at Vitria, eBay, and Apple?
So, if I look into my career journey, Srijani, like once I started my career, it was mainly in the service industry. And I used to work in India. And in service industry, what happens is that you get a very well-defined task from different clients and with a clear specification what you need to deliver. And that's what I did in first 3 years. Then I moved to USA. And once I come to USA, then I joined a company called Vitria, which is a product-based company. That means you are not getting a clear specification, but you are trying to identify what a business would need to solve their problem. And that's what I invested my time and my energy to learn about it and solve those business problems. But then what happened is that this product-based business problem, certainly these are complex problem because it is helping a business to solve their challenges. But you don't get a connection built up with the customer. Like if you then I figured out I wanted to work in a B2C company where that means you are solving a real customer's challenge. And with that, you need to tackle the scale of the problem as well. Like millions of users are coming into your system and they are requiring some response. And that's when I joined eBay. And I was part of the eBay search, and that was a big driver of their business. I learned a lot about shopping experience, how a retail organization works, and things like that. And then what happened is that if you look into the industry, like search is a great way to get what user wants. But now a new trend was that we have to understand what user wants and give it in front of them before they ask for it. And that's kind of recommendation and personalization. And I wanted to be part of that model as well. And what I figured out is Apple is one of the best place to do that. Because as part of the Apple, what we are doing, we are identifying what users would need in the next year or in next decade and deliver that. And that's sort of my journey going through this one after another level and solving the problem for the customers at the end.
That was a really amazing journey. I think it was so dynamic, and there was so much of different things going on at exactly the same time. And it's really in sync with how technology progresses as well. So you mentioned about Apple and how the recommendation system works in Apple and how you were curious to know about that. So could you please explain how exactly the technical strategy is so important in driving business growth in Apple?
So the technical strategy, what you have to look into that, in terms of technical strategy, there are a few key areas we need to invest on to get. So one area is that what is the current need for the industry? How we can support that? That is the number one. Then the number two thing is that what you are building for today, is it equipped to deal with the challenge of tomorrow? It's not only the challenge which comes as part of the changing the business landscape, but there can be potential other challenges also. Like think about that you have built something for 100 people, but the business you have built has become so successful, tomorrow you got 1,000 people coming to you. So you need to address that scale. That's the scaling challenge. And the second thing is that the business you have built may not be that useful for tomorrow if you have not taken into the consideration of what is going in the industry as a whole. So you have to keep an eye open for that. You need to work with a lot of business partners for it. And at the same time, you need to look into the institutional partner, like what is happening in Stanford. Are they coming with a new research which is a completely cutting edge and game changing? So you need to build that level of the relationship. Those are the three things. And the fourth thing about the technical strategy, which you cannot miss, is there is a legal landscape changing because each and every country they have their own legal standard, competitive and compliance standard. So what you build for today may not be applicable for tomorrow because that legal standard can invalidate that. So you have to build your technical strategy by keeping all of those things into consideration. And that's what we do at Apple right now.
Great, great. That actually gave me a lot of insight about how exactly to build a technical strategy because let's be honest, I was kind of clueless about it. So I remember that you mentioned the first point being the scaling solution. So what are your tips to ensure that product solutions are actually scalable and adaptable? What are some key components we need to look at the solution to make sure they're scalable?
So just to give you an example, like first of all, if you look into the core technology standpoint, the technical component you are using, first of all, what feature you need for that component. Think about you are building a shopping experience. In that shopping experience, you don't need the transaction safety of a banking product. So, but if you try to incorporate that, then quite possibly there will be transaction limits, your overall process will get slow. So you need to find the right technical solution to put there. Like maybe just to, I don't want to get into too much technology, but just to a distributed storage. The same way is that if users are constantly using your service, you want to be very close to your user. Think about that you are building a website from India, and potentially a user from Brazil is going to use that. So you need to build it in such a way that is closer to them, not that every call is coming to India and get answered. Because if you go that route, then ultimate experience will be slow. And our goal should be how we can put the best experience in front of our user. And that's what we need to keep in our mind to build our technical strategy.
Thank you so much. One of my friends was is actually an entrepreneur, and she was actually having this problem about scaling her entire business. I think this question will really help her. So, my next question is regarding AI and machine learning. So, as we all know, Apple is pretty much the face of cutting edge technology in this world. And now AI and machine learning has come into the picture, and it has come in a big, big way. And now, recently, there have been lots of developments in the field of AI. So, what is your take on how you see the role of AI and ML evolving in the different industries, especially your industry, in the next few years?
So one thing what I told you very early that we used to build software against a specification.
Yeah.
But now the next thing what happened is that as we build software, we got a huge amount of data around that. And from the data, we could analyze that big set of data and make business decision what to do next for improving the business. If you ask me, that was the first set of the machine learning which came into this world, or if you call it a data science driven decision making. And if you look into that, traditionally human being always made decision based on the data, but it is more of an intuition based. With some data, but more intuition. But what happens with more and more data available, that we can go to the next step. We can directly make decision just from the data. And at the beginning, what happened is that once we have a huge set of data, we said that, oh, these are the important part of the data. You use this data to come up with a solution for a particular problem. And the problem is also very fixed. Like Srijani wants to sell her house. So this is all the characteristic of the house. Come up with a selling price. What would be the predicted price? So that is the first version of the ML. Then what happened was that there is something we call deep learning came into the picture. That means how human we solve the problem as a human being. Like we don't get into, nobody tells us like these are the five important things for you to find a solution. You read a lot of things and then you figure it out. Like in this interview, you are automatically figuring out what are the important things I am talking about, what are the things can potentially be ignored or be less important. And it is all going at the back of your brain. And that's what we started. doing into a deep learning, where it is trying to replicate a human being's behavior. Now, exactly that's what happened there in the deep learning, because the way the neurons work, like interconnecting with one another and exchanging the data, the same way the different steps of the machine learning model started working. That was the step two. And if you ask me, mathematically, we could reach that step two a lot earlier, even maybe 20 years back. The reason we could not reach there because we did not have an efficient machine where you can do it in a cost effective way. So with the progress of the microprocessor, we could quickly do that. And particularly the GPU machines and things like that. Then the third thing came, okay, now machines even got smarter. So we are telling it, like you figure out the problem, you figure out solution. Like we are kind of giving a very vague problem to that. Like one vague problem is that, just an example, Srijani loves pop song. She's a Lady Gaga fan. On her birthday, come up with a brand new music with that particular sentiment and pop skill. Now, this is something called fully generative AI. And what machines can, because machine can do that, because now it knows with all the information it has, how it can predict what are the next thing is out of that. Like it can come up with a song, it can come up with the first word, and then it can predict the next word. It can predict the next tune and come up with that. But once you get into that path, I think the biggest challenge right now to how we can come up with an ethical AI solution, because now these, you can kind of, they are let loose right now, they can do whatever they want. And then machines have also a lot of limitation. It is not always on purpose it is doing something bad, but there is something, I don't know whether you are aware of, that is called hallucination, because of the fact that it got a lot of data. Like as a human being, if you read 20 books today and tomorrow if I ask you something, you'll probably come up with something which you have not read in the books, but you have connected a lot things inside your brain and you came up with that fact. And the same thing the machine does. Now, what we have to ensure is that, first of all, what machine does should be grounded. Means that there should be some truth behind it. It should not come up with something which is completely deviated from the truth. That is the number one. The number two things is that it has to be ethical. It should not be doing something which is causing damage to us. The what is its first goal to help us, it should not harm us. And the third thing is that it should always try to do something. It should protect the privacy aspect of human being. Like you provided some data to that machine to learn something, it should not expose the data to the outside world about you. Now, these are the three. And now, if you ask me what AI can solve for tomorrow, it is unimaginable what AI can do. AI can come up directing a new film. AI can come write a new book, a new poem. AI can solve a problem like you don't have to interview me. It can create an avatar and answer all the questions in your mind. And maybe it will satisfy you better than the way I'm doing. AI can do all that. But the thing is like that, what you are going to see is how we can make it ethical. There should be a lot of policy change around that. There'll be a lot of tool to verify what AI is telling is the right thing or not, and it is not causing any harm to the human. So all these areas, I do see a lot of improvement coming in the coming days.
That was a really extensive and a really helpful description. I don't think any AI could have explained that better. Um, so to end this conversation, my last question for today will be, several of my friends and me myself are looking at jobs in a similar industry, and we are also aspire to make a similar impact. So what advice would you give to aspiring students and candidates who are trying to make a mark in the tech industry?
So first of all, whatever the area you want to work on, you need the technical knowledge. There is no question about that. And I think all you and your friends, whoever they're in the same boat, you all understand that. But couple of things I wanted to add, which would help you to become a leader in whatever the industry you go to. So first thing, what I would say that follow your passion. If you are not passionate about your work, you cannot build great things. Because great things cannot be built by giving the average. You have to give your best to build a great thing. And the only time you can give your best if you are passionate about that. So find your passion. That is number one. And being a part of this industry, like an AI or software industry, may not be somebody's passion. So let them find out their passion. That is number one. Number two things I believe, which I think which helped me in my career, I would say active listening is the most important thing, because most of the people they don't listen others. They only listen to respond. And first of all, listen to understand. That I would say that is the second best advice for me. And third one, I would say that question everything. Never take anything as a face value, because all the things you see around you, they are being built by us, somebody like us. And everything has a lot of bias or a lot of I won't say defect but shortcomings inside that. So and all these things can potentially be improved. So question everything, why something has been done in the first place. Because if you don't ask why, and if you concentrate only what was built, then you will be able to build up something similar to that, but not a game changer thing. So ask why it was built in the first place. So that would be my advice.
Wow, that was actually very, very enlightening. And I think that motivates all of us right now to pursue careers and actually chase our dreams in this particular industry. Thank you so much for interacting with me today. I know the time gap is huge and it's very, very daunting at times, but thank you so much that you managed to get some time out of busy schedule. Thank you so much, sir.
And Srijani, thanks for your time also, because of I am answering you. It helps me to deeply think about something which I might not have done in past few years. And thank you for giving me that opportunity as well.
Thank you so much, sir. The pleasure is all mine. Thank you.